Tesla has a manual lever that you can open the door at any time, lol. It's impossible to get out of any Tesla once the battery dies. I am still not sold that this truck didn't have a battery explosion. It looks like the battery fires I see at work. The explosion being bottled up like that is likely what made the explosion worse, lol. Just curious, where is the proof that the truck locks itself? Elon Musk openly stated, in an effort to flex his cooperation with law enforcement, he stated that the truck had automatically locked during the incident and he had to unlock it. We have no understanding of what the motives of this suspect is. And also, we know that he shot himself in the head, according to law enforcement. So we don't even know if there was like what triggered it. We have no idea what actually was the trigger for the explosion. Assalamu alaikum. Anyway. Bro faked his own death for sure. Lad was in the street, was just some bum. That sounds pretty unlikely considering he'd have to go through extensive tattooing. Bless you. Don't tell me. No, you need to tell me to science. Bless me. But yeah, both Matt and also, what is this? I believe Matt Livesberger may have served with the 3rd Special Forces Group Airborne for a time based on his commendation from the U.S. Ambassador to Tajikistan and the fact that the 3rd Command is Central Asia. They're stationed at Fort Bragg. Yeah, science me, not bless me. I do not want to be blessed. I want to be scienced. And yeah, official channel already posted the interview that I had. Which is crazy. Editors woke up today. All right, let's see what Wolf has to say.
Are revealing new details about the New Orleans truck ramming attack. CNN anchor Anderson Cooper is joining us live from New Orleans.
I was in 3rd group. Do we know what years? No, we do not know.
Street, and maybe you can hear some of it behind me because, as you said, it has reopened. It reopened earlier this afternoon, several hours ago. It was important for people in this city, for city officials, to get this place, which was the scene of such horror on New Year's Eve, 3 hours after the strike, after the beginning of the new year, to get it back up and running. Not so much just for business reasons, but as a symbol of.
There's special forces in here? Yes. There are also active duty military members in here as well. Chatters. This is a very large leftist community. There is a... Like, imagine walking into Madison Square Garden and being like, wow, there's a special forces guy in here? Yet, the likelihood is high. That's the reason why, like, while the Fort Bragg thing is, like, weird, it also isn't that weird at all because, I mean, it's massive, right?
Officials and preachers laid flowers, and before it was open to the public, they allowed religious leaders to come to say prayers, and also Glenn David Andrews,
The
and
military is massive. It hires. The military is ginormous. It's the like what second largest after Walmart. The Defense Department is the second largest hiring body in the United States of America. Okay. It's the second largest employer in America after Walmart. So it's not surprising that there's like hella fucking vets and shit in here.
Anderson, I know you also went to a hospital where some of the victims are being treated right now. Tell us about that.
That's right, we did. We went to a hospital, which is just a couple of minutes from here. It's a trauma one hospital. They're able to deal with traumatic situations like we saw. So a lot of the people who were badly injured were brought there as quickly as possible. They still have more than a dozen people who are there with a whole range. Most of them are blunt force injuries they've received from being hit by the vehicle. Some of them also have gunshot wounds. I talked to Jeremy Asensky, who was one of the people who was hit directly by the vehicle. He was actually in a wheelchair. He was knocked out of his wheelchair. His legs were broken in multiple places. He's undergone surgery, but he is doing okay, and hopes to get out of the hospital in a few days, Wolf.
All right, Anderson Cooper on the scene for us, as he always is. Thank you very, very much. And Anderson, of course, will have much more later tonight from New Orleans on his excellent program, 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be watching, Anderson. Thanks very much. And joining us now, someone who knows New Orleans very, very well, the current president of the National Urban League and the former two-term New Orleans mayor, Mark Morial. Mayor, thanks so much
Wolf, thanks for
joining us.
Absolutely.
You heard Aaron's report, and you were moved, clearly, because you know the city, you know the people, and it's very disturbing.
I give the city leaders great credit for reopening Bourbon Street, for doing it in a dignified fashion, with prayer, which is part of the tradition of New Orleans, with a second-line parade, which...
I'm sorry. This is insane. If you're attracted to Wolf Blitzer, does that make you a furry? The answer is yes.
Just hours before the attack, they are asking anyone who saw him on the street to come forward. What are they hoping to learn? And these are some of the pictures. That's the picture of that cooler right there. You can see it on the screen.
So, I think, Wolf, one of the interesting things is how extensive the planning, the preparation, the premeditation to this terrorist act was. And I think it's still, even though now the FBI has clarified that, quote, he was acting alone, did other people help him plan? Where did he get all of the materials and the devices from? What went into taking someone, a military veteran, a graduate of Georgia State, a person that worked for a Big Four accounting firm, and his anger, his rage, his hatred became so empowering that he kills 15 people on a night and on a day that is a day of festivities and a day of celebration. This is a heinous, despicable act. I'm hurt, I'm angered. And when I saw the photos of those young people who were out there partying, young professionals, young people in the early stages of their life, now snuffed out, I am just so hopeful that all Americans will understand that for us, this should be a moment like 9/11, when we should push back against politicians or leaders who want to exploit with rhetoric this awful event and instead say, let us unify to continue this fight for a safer America and safer communities.
As a former mayor of New Orleans, and you know the city well, you know the people well, what do you think the city could have done, potentially looking back, to prevent this terror attack?
Well, one thing I think could have been done is when they took the barricades down, they could have come up with a plan B. A dump truck could have been put there. a temporary barricade could have been put there. That may have saved some lives, but it would not have stopped him from maybe identifying another target or a different target. One thing I'm interested in is whether he cased this location out, whether he planned in advance the exact location that he would use this truck to ram into a crowd of people. So they could have done that, which is why I've said on a number of occasions what's important is for city leaders to evaluate the security plan around the quarter, evaluate the security plan around downtown New Orleans to determine very quickly what enhancements and fortifications are needed.
Mayor Mark Morial, thanks very
you.
much for coming in.
Thanks, Wolf.
Thanks for the important work you're doing with the National Urban League.
Thank you, Wolf.
As well. Appreciate
We'll
it
be
very,
back.
very much. And just ahead, new information coming in on the victims of the New Orleans terror attack, including a student and former college football player.